This is Valley News Live at 4.
Thanks for joining us on Valley News Live at 4. I'm Bobby Fallett. North Dakota legislators are looking to reduce property taxes by roughly 25% statewide. Officials say the proposal freezes property valuations for 2 years, helping to slow down any future increases that impact those property taxes. Now, they also say it would provide a boost for the North Dakota business community at a time when the national economy is uncertain. The bill also requires all taxing districts to express levy amounts in terms of dollars rather than mills when communicating with the public. It will also require the taxpayer's property tax statement to include the additional legislatively provided tax relief. The 68th Legislative Assembly will take place on January 3rd, 2023. A former West Fargo teacher has pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession child porn. Ronald Thompson changed his plea to guilty. Court documents say Thompson had a Google Drive labeled Little One, which had a picture of a nude girl said to be around 6 to 7 years old. Officials say the way that it was taken would classify as child pornography. Earlier this year, a jury found Thompson guilty of luring a minor for sex. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison after he had inappropriate conversations with who he believed was a 14-year-old Florida girl. While Thompson admitted that he doesn't like chatting online with younger girls, he was adamant that he never crossed the line with any of his students or young athletes in West Fargo. It's 4 o'clock now, and taking a look at our sky cam, things are looking pretty clear out there, but Jim, we might see something falling from the sky a little bit later on this evening. What are we looking at right now?
That is right. We may have a chance of some showers later on, but for right now, skies are clear except for that one cloud hanging around here in South Fargo, and we may have some frost as well for particularly our northern counties, anywhere north of that Highway 200 corridor. And as you can see, things are starting to get pretty chilly here across the valley as we move into the fall season. Temperatures across the area right now are seeing most people in the 60s. We do have some 70s to our south and west, even an 80 up there in western North Dakota. But closer to home, we have some 50s hanging on in the north and east portions of our area. Baudette there at 56 degrees. Zooming out, taking a look at our sky conditions, we do have those mostly clear skies. We do have some passing clouds, and again, we may see some showers, particularly for our counties to the east, but not much of a threat there overnight. As we look through the afternoon and into the evening hours and a little bit into the nighttime, we'll see our temperatures dip to about 45 degrees by morning time, and we'll see those clouds take a hold overnight. I'll let you know what to expect from our chance of rain coming up.
All right, Jim, thank you so much. A lot to go over. Well, in-person voting for the midterm elections opened Friday in Minnesota, South Dakota, Virginia, and Wyoming, kicking off a 6-week sprint to Election Day. Early in-person voting is offered in 46 states and the District of Columbia. Now, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, Minnesota's ballot includes races for governor and other statewide offices with control of the legislature at stake too. John Lawrenson has more.
Well, I'm actually going to be traveling during Election Day, and I saw on your news this morning that early voting started, and I thought, let's just do it.
There are a variety of reasons voters turn out 46 days before Election Day.
Now that I work from home, it's a little more convenient to get in and out. Before, there was always a long line on voting day, and I just didn't know when I could get in.
We've seen steady increases both voting by mail and voting early in person.
Jeff Narrabrook is the election administrator. He says early voters fill out an application for an absentee ballot. After they vote, they put their ballot in an envelope that goes into a locked box. Closer to the election, those votes are unlocked and processed. Ballots from the more than 12,000 mail-in voters in Minneapolis go through the same process.
It's an easy way to get it done, taken care of, and that's kind of what we look for in terms of benefits.
Election officials also want to remind people that if you vote early but change your mind, there are ways to rescind your ballot and vote again. It's called a clawback, and voters have until a week before the election to make that change. They need to contact Elections and Voter Services to verify they already voted and get a new ballot.
I think it's really important this election. It's very important to get your vote in.
It's the message election administrators across the state are trying to get across. Early voting is typically down a little bit during midterm elections.
We do want people to know, hey, this election's happening, it is important, and we hope to have a high turnout again.
In Minneapolis, John Lordson, WCCO 4 News.
John, thank you. And more Minnesota school districts are getting money to upgrade a school bus safety feature. Almost $3 million in grants will be given out to 21 schools and transportation companies to install school bus stop arm cameras. Lake of the Woods, Lake Park, Audubon, and New York Mills Public Schools are included in this round of grant awards. The grants will reimburse schools and transportation companies for purchasing and installing stop arm camera systems and supporting software programs. An annual illegal passing survey in Minnesota found school bus drivers observed more than 1,000 stop arm violations in a single day. State legislatures approved $14.7 million in total funding for this project, and applications for Phase 4 grants are now in the review process, and the Phase 5 grant application process is now pending. So far this year, there have been 3 deaths due to train collisions. The most recent occurred early Friday morning in downtown Fargo. And this week is Rail Safety Week, a time when motorists are reminded of how dangerous it is to try to race through those crossing gates. 1 fatality was a vehicle train collision and 2 were trespasser incidents. In urban communities, there are active warning systems with lights and gates. However, in rural areas, there are only railroad warning signs at many intersections, making it more difficult to stop for an oncoming train. It can take more than a mile for a train traveling at 55 miles per hour to stop. Well, coming up, a warning from a Moorhead dad following a scary situation. His daughter was hit by a car when she was walking home from school. He shared the video and his story with Valley News Team's Courtney Lockie to remind drivers to slow down. You can see that tonight on Valley News Live at 5 o'clock. Well, tons of people, friends, and family gathered in Carrington, North Dakota today for the funeral of a young man who was killed in a hit and run earlier this month. The service for 18-year-old Kaylor Ellingson took place this afternoon at 1 at Trinity Lutheran Church. He'll be buried at the Grace City Cemetery. Ellingson died after being hit by an SUV after a street dance in McHenry in the early morning hours of September 18th. 41-year-old Shannon Brandt of McHenry is charged with a criminal vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of a crash. Court records show he told police he felt threatened by the victim during an argument about politics. The North Dakota Highway Patrol says there is little indication that Ellingson was a political extremist like Brandt is claiming. And we'll have more details on Kaylor's funeral coming up on Valley News Live at 6 o'clock. The royal family has released a photo of Queen Elizabeth II's final resting place. The ledger stone lies at the Memorial Chapel alongside her husband, Prince Philip, who died in 2021 at the age of 99. Several wreaths from family members are laying around the ledger, including the wreath from King Charles that was laid on top of the Queen's coffin during the funeral procession.